This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
We're back as Kyle and Darren discuss research showing farmers are the most trusted source of information for consumers about food product safety.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer from New Orleans visiting with Darren Wallis. He is with Bear Crop Science. Darren is in the communications division, and as we listen to people speak today, Darren, we find that the consumer believes the farmer as a credible source or one of the more credible sources. Would you run down some of those percentages of what they're thinking who are credible?
Sure thing. Well, as a farm kid myself, I take great pride in the fact that people believe in farmers and that they have their best interests at mind. Based on some consumer research that we've seen, 30% of consumers in this survey feel very strongly about growers and that they provide the best source of information on their food. What that means to me, though, is that there's 70% of other consumers that either haven't formed an opinion or that there's an opportunity to really engage in the dialogue. But growers should feel really good that they are the most trusted voice ahead of doctors, nutritionists, certainly large companies and NGOs. But it still means there's work to do in telling the story of modern agriculture and what goes on the farm.
So as a farmer, how do I continue to raise that 30% number to even higher levels and not let it deteriorate?
Well, first of all, we know that growers have a lot going on. They've got a business to run, and they're certainly working actively every day. But increasingly, we know that engaging with the public is just as important as making seed decisions or chemical decisions on their farm. So what that means is they should engage in big and small ways, be that through social media. Certainly gives a lot of opportunity to reach people around the world and around the country. But they can also choose to engage in their own communities, be that in church settings, PTA, school settings, or if they're invited to speak on what they do. Agriculture needs to throw open the farm gate and the barn doors across the spectrum and really welcome people in to understand what's going on their fields and in their farms. And I think that's a critical conversation for the 2% of people that produce food, for the other 98% to continue that education drumbeat.
So we need to be prepared with that time when someone at our local Rotary Club or in our church or at the school asks us that question about antibiotics in meat or genetically modified, and you go, oh my, can I really help myself with that? But you really do know the answer, and if you think about it just a bit, you can have that elevator speech, if you will, ready to help that consumer.
Absolutely. I think what's most important is really listening to people and their questions first and really understanding where they come from. So if people are asking questions about genetic modification or the use of pesticides or insecticides, really understanding and asking more questions first, and then perhaps responding, not so much with facts and statistics, but, well, here's how I think about it on my farm, or here's why I make the choices that I do, and really acknowledging what we know today, which is that as a grower, there's no one more interested in the stewardship and the longevity of my land than me. And they come with such an authenticity and such a pureness of spirit and heart that I'm positive that when growers engage, that they will be pleased with the new conversations that they have.
We're visiting with Darren Wallis. He is with Bear Crop Science. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor. We're here every Tuesday on AGam in Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.